here with Scrap and Abby, and this is the first of my fall series that I'm going to be doing on my YouTube channel. Now, none of these items I'm going to be creating are necessarily Halloween specific. They're just more along the fall theme. That way I can keep them up all through October and all through November past Thanksgiving. But you can easily incorporate some different Halloween-esque looking type of things in those projects if you wanted to do that. So what I'm going to be using, most everything is going to be from the Dollar Tree. I will be sure to mention things that are not some of the additional elements, but pretty much the base of everything is going to be Dollar Tree for the most part. So I picked up some of these glass little milk decorative jars from the Dollar Tree, and I love the texture it's on there. These have a really cool, saying on here. It's what's it say, Dairy Milk by Heritage Company, and then the back side it just says, "Please wash and return to Heritage Company." So it's really doing a riff off of true vintage milk bottles back in the day. So I grabbed 4 of those, and then some different items. I have like some water because I'm going to be doing some painting, just on one of my random paint brushes. Some of the different paints I'm going to be playing with instead of my normal craft, the little, like the apple barrel and all those folk art and all those regular ones. I really wanted to dive in and play with some of these different chalk paints and wax paints that I picked up from Walmart a while back on clearance. So I have the white Waverly wax here, and then I grabbed the hazelnut chalk, and then I have this vintage decor antique wax. So I'm going to kind of experiment and play with these and see how they look on the glass bottles. And then I pulled from my Maya Road stash, which is quite large because I always participated in their warehouse box sales they have, and I wanted to pull out some letters. So this is from their Chicago uppercase. If I have enough to spell the word fall, which is what I'm going for, I will use those. If not, I'll dig into these and see if I can find some. And if they don't fit, I don't have the right size for my project, then of course I have other letters I can, alter up if I need to. And then I wanted to kind of play around with some of these microfelt birds. They're in the neutrals. They're these really cute, sweet little birds, and there's different colors and sizes. I thought I might play with those to kind of see if I want those on the bottles as well. Now, if you have been following me for any length of time, you know that how I typically start a project is I basically go shop my craft room in a tote or whatever it is I have handy, and I pull together things that really inspire me and that I think I want to use in the project. Now, as time goes on, I start pulling things out that I grabbed initially just because it's going to be too much, or I change my mind on the style of the design, and then sometimes I will add things that I don't share with you in the beginning part of the video. So just to throw that out there in case you see something different at the end. These are some craft word strips from, or tags from Maya Road. They have the year and the month on them, but I might play with those and cover up this part. We'll see. And these are adorable, some little crafty owls from Maya Road. I love these little guys, they're so cute. And then this is something for a different project. Actually, let me see if I want to talk about that on here. Nope, we're going to save that one for a separate video, so ignore that. I grabbed something extra. And then just kind of a conglomerate of things from the Dollar Tree. Everything in here is all Dollar Tree now, including my purple basket. I just grabbed a few different spools. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be putting all of this on these little tiny bottles. I just like to gather everything, and that way I can kind of pull what I want and what I might want to use. I grabbed a few packs of the different leaves I pulled. I'm not sure if I want to use those or not. I have some of the burlap trim here, burlap ribbon, and then this ribbon as well. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get my table set up, get my craft, my craft mat out so I can do some painting and whatnot, and I'm going to kind of get things set up, and then I'll be back and we'll do this project together. I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, so I'm back and I have my craft mat on my table, and I have just some packaging that I use. I'm going to mix a couple of the colors of the paint, and then these are just some coffee stir sticks that I had left over from a Starbucks purchase, and I just use those to kind of mix and stir the paint up since this is new bottles that I found in the clearance aisle at Walmart. Just a foam brush and just a regular paintbrush. I think I'm probably going to stick with the foam brush, but just in case I want. I just have some water here. This looks like chocolate milk right now, but I was messing around with when I was stirring this, and I didn't like how it looked on when I was messing around sampling it, I guess you could say. So I rinsed it out. So that is clean water. It just looks like chocolate milk. And then I have my jars here. So what I'm going to do, I'll zoom you in just a little bit closer, is I want to go ahead and mix just a little bit of the hazelnut and the white. Again, it's just because I really want to have just kind of a little bit lighter color than what the hazelnut is, just a touch lighter. So I'm going to pour some in there. Don't want to do too much. Whoa! And it goes out the other side. Grab my stir stick here. Kind of wipe that off. It almost has a consistency of like, not really syrup, but look at that. It's like, it's really thick. It's some pretty thick paint. So let me wipe off the lip here real quick. I'm kind of one of those crafters that kind of cleans as I go a little bit. I don't like to, because I get so in the moment once I'm crafting that I'm afraid I'll forget, and then something will be ruined because it's got dry paint all over it. So, and then what I don't use, if I don't use all this for these 4 bottles, and this I can put into one of my smaller containers that has lids, so this product then won't be going to waste, of course. Now I'm just going to add some white, and I'm going to get my stir stick ready for that just in case. I'm going to start just a little bit because I don't want to make it too light, but we'll just do that little bit there. I'll kind of wipe that off. Tap that. Tap that in there. Okay. And we'll just wipe the lip of this bottle off this as well. Okay. Now we're just going to mix this and see what kind of fun color we can come up with. So comment below and let me know if you've ever used any of the Waverly chalk paints before and how you used them, and if you liked them, if you didn't. I like to hear from you guys as well what you've used, and especially if you don't like them, because I like to know why, or maybe you have a tip on how I'm using them or something like that. So I'm just going to basically mix. So these are going to go, when I get these done, we don't have a mantle in this house. It's we're just leasing this house until we find a home we want to buy here in Florida. So I've always had mantles in every single house I've ever lived in, and so this is the first one to not have one. And so I'm kind of bummed because, you know, I like to have a mantle to put, you know, Christmas things on and stuff, so like the stockings and stuff. So these are going to go on my Duncan Fife sideboard that I have in our living room. So I'll be sure to take a picture in the daytime because it's like 8 o'clock here at night, so it'll be dark. I won't get a really good picture without some natural light coming in, and I'll share with you where I'm going to be putting these. Alright, so now we're just going to get started here. And I'm actually going to be able to use this on some other fall projects that I have lined up too, so this definitely won't be going to waste. So I'm just going to simply grab the jar, and I'm going to use the foam brush, and I'm just going to swipe down here. Now I don't think I really want it to be up high. I'm going to kind of stop up here where the embossing on this glass stops, because what I'm going to do is paint this on, and then I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper or sanding block and kind of distress it off a little bit, because there are those raised bumps on there, and then those areas will kind of be buffed off, and then you'll still see some of this in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to kind of quickly do this because I just noticed my camera is about to shut off because I need to charge it. So I will get this one bottle done on camera, and then I'll do the other 3 because I'm going to be doing the same exact thing that you see here. So I'm just going to kind of do this, and this part's going to be covered with either the burlap or the ribbon, so I'm not going to really focus too much on, you know, making sure I have complete coverage there, at least for this project, because I have some more I'm going to be using for some different projects. And I want to keep it off the bottom. It will completely dry before I stick it on my furniture, but I do want to I don't want to intentionally put any on the bottom if I don't have to. So there we go, just kind of covering that up, and then I'm going to just kind of lightly kind of make my little line up here, and that's kind of what this looks like. And so I'm going to see how it looks once this one coat is dry, and then I will be back because I'll do the sanding and stuff on camera with you so you can see how the whole process of what I'm doing. So this is one coat, and I'm going to go ahead and get the other 3 jars done, and then if I decide to do 2 coats, I'll come back on, leave 1 coat bottle, and then I'll do the other coats. That way we can kind of have a comparison to what 1 coat looks like versus 2. So I'm going to go charge my video camera, and then I'll be back as soon as I get these other 3 done and they're dry. So I will see you in just a little bit. ladies, I'm back. So I have a process segment that you just watched before this segment here of when I did the letters. And what I use, in case you couldn't see, I tried to hold it up there for long enough, but it's this embossing powder from Embossing Arts Codes from Tangent, Oregon, actually, which is not very far from the town I was born and raised and just recently moved from, but it's the copper color. So I have some of that, and my daughter actually helped me pick it out, because what I did is I did a sample. I didn't show this on camera, but I did a sample and asked her opinion which one she thought looked better, with the gold or with the copper, and she said she liked the copper. It popped off a little bit more, which I thought as well. So I've done a few extra steps already on 3 of the bottles, because I'm going to save the 4th bottle to do with you at the towards the end of this particular video. But what I've done is I already went and put some burlap ribbon around this, which is from Dollar Tree. This is some eyelash trim that I have. It's half of it's this really pretty kind of burnt orange, and the other half is kind of this kind of like almost burgundy purplish. It matches this leaf really well. So I went ahead and wrapped that around the front, and then what I'm doing is these are how I'm going to position the leaves on the bottle. So I have held it down this way, and what I was doing is, after I placed the F on here, just to kind of get a visual to see if I want to add anything else to this, I really got to thinking that I love the copper, but I feel like it doesn't really pop off enough. So what I did last night, so I could let it dry overnight to see if it was going to slide off or not, is I grabbed some of my Smooch Pearlized Accent ink in the gold, and I use this all the time. I love it. And I went ahead and put some around the scrap piece I had when I was testing to see if I wanted the copper or the gold, and I think it looks really good. I put it on top of here and kind of had my daughter look at it and tell me what she thought, and she thought it looked really good with the gold like that, because it kind of really helps it pop off. It doesn't make it kind of blend in too much, which is what I was afraid of happening when it was just the F. And I think it looks fine like this too. If you're gonna, do this project yourself, if you don't have this pearlized ink, you could use I don't know, you could even go back on here and do some gold embossing, like a little bit of perfect medium if you have a pen. If you don't, you can just take the pad and kind of, take your letter and then just carefully, say you wanted to do the side of the A, you could just take your pad and just kind of press around on the edges, and you could re-emboss it, or you could use some different kind of craft pen if you have that. If you want, again, it looks great just like that, but I kind of want to add a little bit more of a pop to it. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now, is doing this piece here. And once I get all the letters with the gold edging on it and they're dry, then I'm going to go ahead and start assembling the rest of the bottles. And like I said, I will save the 4th bottle, which is this one here, and I'll put everything on it on camera so you can see how I do it from start to finish. I just kind of want to get the first 3 done, so this video wasn't too super long. So I will just show you quickly on here how I'm going to be doing the letters, and then I'm just going to give you a little sample on the F here, and then I will go ahead and turn off the camera and get the rest of the letters done, and then I'll be back once these are dry and we'll complete the rest of the project. So I'm just going to simply just take this, and I'm going to zoom this a little bit. The reason why I let it sit overnight is because I was worried that this wouldn't stay on the embossing. I thought it would just kind of always slick itself off, but it didn't. It stayed on there just fine, because when I put this on, I'll have you kind of look when I bring it up here. See how when I do a brush it kind of shrinks up on itself? I'll do it right down here so you can see a little better. So like when I'm trying to stay on camera too, let's see here. Okay, so when I brush it like this, you see how it kind of shrinks up like that? I was afraid it was going to do that and just kind of wipe off and not stay on, like smear, but it didn't. It actually stays on just nice, just fine. So a couple areas I might have to go back over it again because it does shrink up like that. And I'm not trying to cover the whole outline of the F at all. I'm just trying to give it some accent. It's all I want. Just kind of some hints of the gold along the edges of each of the letters. That's kind of what I'm going for. I'm going to kind of make the corners a little bit more concentrated just because I like how that kind of looks. I'll flip this around here. And you can also use like, a pen, or like this is just a little knitting thing I use to poke I use it for other crafting purposes other than knitting. Just something to hold it here, tweezers or something, if you're worried about getting your fingers in where the ink is, if you are worried about it spinning around on your craft mat or whatever it is you have underneath it. So just kind of doing this along all the letters, and then like I said, once they're dry I will come back on and we will go ahead and complete the 4th jar together on camera. So I will see you in just a little bit. Okay ladies, I'm back and I have the first 3 of my bottles completed, and I wanted to show you what they look like because we're going to complete the last one together on camera. So I think they turned out really super cute. I'm really pleased with how they turned out. This was kind of the vision I had in my head when I saw just the plain milk glass bottles, jars, whatever you want to, or not jars, but the bottles, this is exactly what I had in my head. As soon as I picked it up, I started looking at it, and that's kind of how the design process works for me. I just get inspired by one item or maybe a color scheme or something like that, and this is what I made, and I think it looks really cute. So I'm going to go ahead and put these off to the side, and then I'll bring in the supplies for the last one. And I did a little bit of prep work on some of it, but I'll explain to you what it was I did, just because I don't want to make this too super long, because I have a tendency to be really gabby, and I know not everybody likes super long videos, so I'm going to try to oh, that's cool. Each of my leaf packs had 4 of each kind, but there's actually a 5th gold leaf that was stuck to the other one. So very cool. I have an extra one now. So nice. So what I've done is on the bottles, as I shared with you in the first part of the video, I used that Waverly paint, the white and the hazelnut. I mixed it together and I painted on the bottle. And this is the one I actually painted on camera with you. And I already went ahead and off camera sanded them. I was going to show on camera, but I was afraid that noise might be like nails on a chalkboard to some people, because it was kind of grossing me out. Like, not grossing me out, but kind of make them, you know, kind of give me the heebie-jeebies as that sound. So I did it as quickly as I could. So that's the only reason why I didn't stand on camera. I was trying to save anybody else from having those, you know, kind of a weird feeling from hearing that certain noise. But I think this looks really cool. So obviously I'm covering the front of mine up. You don't have to, but for this project, this would be really cool. And I actually have 4 more I'm going to be doing a different project on. So, but I just wanted to show this to you what it looks like. So all I did is I just used the sanding block that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. You can use any kind of sanding block. It can be a piece of sandpaper, it could be a nail file, whatever you want. And then kind of on the spots here, you see a little bigger spots. It's because it was flat, or like there was no, it was smooth. That's what I'm trying to say. There weren't any of those little raised bits. So, but I think it looks great. I like that distressed look. It doesn't bother me. So that's that. And so this is the burlap ribbon, they call it, but it's like burlap material that I got from the Dollar Tree. What I did is I used some of my score tape on either end of this piece of burlap. Now, if you don't have score tape, you can use any kind of double-sided tape. You can use liquid adhesive if you want, and you can use glue gun if you want to. I just prefer score tape. That's always the first one I reach for when I'm doing my various crafting projects. So what I did intentionally on here, on this end, you can see that I'm pretty flush to the end here, but this one I left a little bit more of a gap, and the reason why, and I'll show you one of these bottles, is because I liked, which one was it that had really, it's kind of hard to tell now that I got it kind of put together, but I kind of like how it has that frayed edge a little bit right there, so you can kind of see more of the strings of the burlap, more of the inner pieces. I like that instead of being a solid line. So that's kind of why I did that. So we have that piece of material. We have the length of orange, kind of this really pretty burnt orange eyelash trim. And then I have the same length here of this really pretty, you know, kind of burgundy maroony, kind of purpley looking one. And I've just had that forever, so I don't know where I got this. I think I picked it up at like an estate sale or something like that. And then we have 1 gold leaf and then one of these kind of shimmery leaves. And this came from the pack at the Dollar Tree. And I will have a picture at the either the end of the video or at the beginning after all the photos. I usually put at the intro of my videos, letting you see all the supplies that were from the Dollar Tree, so you can kind of see what I gathered to use together. So, and then here's the last letter. This is the L. And one thing else I wanted to explain, when I did the process portion of when I was embossing these, I kind of stopped and then started up again because my husband had just come home from work, and he had something for my daughter and I. So he walked in not realizing I was doing a process video, which is fine because I put music to it and I speed it up, but I stopped to look at what he was giving us. So that's why there's a little bit of a break there. So I just want to explain that. And then from the pieces of the burlap, what I did is once I cut mine to length, what I did is on the, like this bottle here, you can kind of see how, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up or not, but it's, I took off the top string. I'll show you on here so it makes more sense, I guess what I'm trying to say. So like this top layer right here, this first string, once I get it on the bottle, I'm going to pull this off, and I'll start to pull it off so you can kind of see what I'm trying to articulate. I do that because I like the way that it looks with, you know, a little bit more of that. Looks like a fancy kind of a look. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull that off. Well, I've already started it. And then now I'm left with this little bit of string, which is what I used on the other bottles. And just kind of tucked it up there. This kind of little pop of color, I think I kind of liked it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I do have my glue gun heated up and ready to go, because that is what I'm using to adhere the leaves and the chipboard letter pieces to the bottle. So I might have to bring in a couple things to hold this up and straight for me, because it does want to wobble and roll around. So just ignore anything that I have. Prop myself up here. There we go. All right, so now what we're going to do first is we're going to put on this piece of burlap. So I just like to kind of eyeball, make sure I'm kind of over that center piece, and then I want my seams to all be in the back. So I'm going to make sure I'm grabbing that one end I like, and we're just going to go straight here. And then I'm doing mine. You can do yours wherever you want. You can have yours down low, you can put yours up higher, whatever it is you want to do. This is totally a preference. You can do whatever you want to do with it. That's the fun thing about being creative, is you can make it your own interpretation. Now, something I already did off camera when I was prepping these pieces, but I'll share with you now, is I took my bone folder and I just gave this a pretty good press, because you really want to get the adhesive from the score tape or whatever double-sided tape you choose to use into the fibers. That way it's going to stick into that piece of burlap really well for you, and you can kind of see the impression there. So I'm just going to simply pull this off. You can use a craft knife if you have trouble pulling this off. I just use my fingers. And so now we're going to just make sure I'm in the center again, and let's see here. Sorry guys, I'm trying to make sure I'm staying on in frame too. So I'm just going to put it kind of right there, give it a nice press, and then I just wrap this around. All I do, I'm not pulling it tight, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just making sure it's kind of nice and straight across the bottle there. Then we're going to go to the back side, and I'm going to go ahead and set the bottle down, and I'm going to go ahead and pull off this last piece of adhesive tape there. And then I'm just kind of making sure I got it where I want it to be, and it kind of moved up a little bit, so I'm going to let it go again. And you can take the adhesive off before you wrap. I did both ways. I just kind of want to show you both ways in case you just have a preference. Totally what you are comfortable with doing. And just making sure that they're matching up, and they do. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of give this a nice press here. Oh, it's slipping off my hand. There we go. I'm just going to kind of press that down nice and tight, and then I have this on there. It's not going to come off, except this will move, but that doesn't bother me. You can put another piece here if you wanted to, because this will be covered, so you could even hot glue this down if you wanted to do that. So now we got that done. So the next thing we're going to do is wrap on our eyelash trim. So I don't do this in any particular way. This is just what I started to do. I just put the orange down first, and then kind of the burnt red on top, no real reason. And then I'm going to cut another little piece of the score tape here. You of course can use whatever adhesive you choose, and I don't mean to keep repeating that, but I just want to make it, you know, clear to you all that you can use whatever it is that you like to use for your adhesive. This is just what I like. And I'm just putting a little piece here, and I'm just going to go ahead and burnish that down, and I'll share with you in a moment why I use such a large piece for such a narrow piece of trim. Peel this off. Okay, and then now we're going to go ahead and grab our trim. I like to wrap mine around. You don't have to, like in a kind of a crisscross pattern. You can do what you like. So I'm just going to start and just put the two ends here, just on the very tip of that score tape. Of course, my ceiling fan is blowing all my little fibers around. I really have a love-hate relationship with my ceiling fan. I love it, but then some, because it keeps me cool in my craft room, but then sometimes it blows all of my stuff around, so it's kind of crazy. So I'm just simply wrapping this around the bottle. You can wrap it in whatever fashion you prefer, and the reason I have that extra bit, why it was so wide, is because I have a place to put this part, and I'm going to flip these back and just kind of double back like that. There you go, because I actually cut off just a little bit longer than I needed, but I didn't want to waste it. So I just come through, and this is what I'm about, the crisscross pattern. I just like how that looks. You can make yours as straight as you want. You know, you can kind of move yours around in whatever direction or whatever area how you like it to be displayed on your bottle. So, and there we go. So we got that part done. Now we're going to do the leaves. So I'm putting mine together like this because that's just the way I like how they look. So I'm just going to put a little dot of hot glue on the bottom part of this leaf here. I'm just going to go ahead and give this kind of a press, and I'm making sure to bring this up a little bit because I want this part of the gold leaf to be showing, because I just really think this gold leaf is really pretty, and I'm just kind of pressing that together. Just be careful when using hot glue. You know, you obviously can burn yourself, which we've all done if you've ever used one before. And then this is just going to go kind of right here in the center. I'm going to grab it up just for a second so I can look at it straight up in the air. I just want to make sure I'm lined up where I want it to be with everything. And okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to put this right about there. So now I'm just going to take some more hot glue. Gotta grab another glue stick, and I'm just going to just basically just put a glob of glue right here onto this here. Go. All right, and I'm just going to put that down like that. I'm just going to press that in. And I kind of squish mine like this a little bit because I want the leaves to kind of pop up a little bit on the sides. So that's kind of why I'm doing that. You don't have to, of course. And there's that. I'm just going to futz with this here a little bit. And I'm going to pull this top string off. I didn't get it off on that part. Yeah. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to do this, a little extra piece that I like. Again, these are just some of the extra fibers. I'm going to, that was a little bit long, let's try this one. So I'm just going to basically fold this in to a point. You can use Scotch tape to put this together if you want. You can use liquid adhesive, whatever you want to use. I find using my hot glue on here just fine. It doesn't burn my fingers when I do this, but you know, just use common sense, you know, if it's gonna hurt you or not. But my glue gun isn't up very high, so I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to kind of pinch it like this, and just really what I'm doing is just really making these pieces right down here stick together. Pinch off the excess because I want them to be that crisscross pattern. You see how they're folded over? I just like how that looks. That's why I did that. And this is going to be tucked in right behind here because I want it to kind of come off like that. So I'm going to fold back my leaf, put a little bit of glue right here, and we're going to just stick this right in there and then give that a little press, and there you go. And now we're going to do the letter. So I do need to pick this up so I can again eyeball it because I want to make sure because when it's down flat I have a hard time envisioning, you know, exactly, make sure it's even here. All right, and I'm going to bring over one of my other bottles because I just want to make sure that I am kind of making these match, you know, because I want them to be the same level. And right about there, looks good. Okay, so now I'm just going to flip over my chipboard letter, and I'm just going to add some glue to the back. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this down right there. I'm just going to give it a press right here so it kind of goes out a little bit. I'm going to pick up that glue that just kind of seeped out on the side. There we go. And that's it. That's it, ladies. Just a really quick, simple, easy project. I think the longest part for me was just waiting for the paint to dry overnight, but you could take your heat tool to your bottle because I did do that to test it, and that worked fine too. And then also with this gold smooch paint, I had to let this dry for a couple hours because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to smudge off whenever I use these. So these are the letters, or excuse me, the letters spelling fall, but these are the altered bottles for fall. So I will have some better pictures because I know it's not very appealing seeing it on my brown craft mat like this, but I will take these out to my living room and I will take a picture when they're up on my my buffet that I'm going to put them on my sideboard. So, but these are really super cute, I think, and this is a really inexpensive project to do. Everything but the paint and the chipboard letters, including the paint and the embossing, those are items from separate places, but everything else is from the Dollar Tree. The burlap, the bottles, the leaves, and this burlap trim here, and what I have right here, and you can make it even to a little bits of string if you want to do that. So, oh, and the eyelash trim, I apologize, that's also from my stash. But these are really super cute, I think. So it's kind of a fun little festive way to, you know, celebrate fall. And the reason why I have them saying fall instead of, you know, like, you know, Happy Halloween, or I'd have to have a lot more bottles obviously for that. But fall means I can just have these up through the whole month of October and November, past Thanksgiving to when right before I start decorating for Christmas. So just want to share this project with you ladies. Sorry if this video is a little bit long. I had to do some stops and stuff because I have to, you know, stop crafting sometimes because of my pain with my trigeminal neuralgia, and then just life in general, you know, dinner, gotta eat, things like that. So sorry this is a little bit long. I'm trying to be better about making my videos not quite so lengthy because I'm not sure if that makes it more difficult for people to watch my videos. But anyway, I'm trying. So thanks so much for watching. Please comment below if you have any questions on how I did anything. If maybe I didn't explain something thoroughly, or you have a question about how I did it, or if you've also altered these bottles from the Dollar Tree, I'd love to see what you've done as well. So thanks so much for watching. Happy crafting, happy planning, happy scrapping, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Okay ladies, here are my completed altered fall glass milk bottles that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. I think these turned out really super cute, and this is the vision I had in my head as I picked these up when I was in that craft aisle at the Dollar Tree, and I just think they turned out really, really nicely. So something I added that I forgot to mention during the process portion of this video is that I was going to add some of that jute twine that I picked up from the Dollar Tree at the very top. I kind of like that idea. I thought I mentioned it when I was painting in the first segment, but I don't think I did. I can't remember. But anyway, I just wanted to share with you. So all I did is just I took some of that jute twine. I started in the back. I put just like a little bead of hot glue here, and then I just kept wrapping around and around, and every time I would get to the front I would put another little bead of glue, and so it's not glued 100%, but probably about 50%, I'm guessing, is around there, because I just want to make sure it's going to stay and not move. And then a little tip too, if you start to see any glue oozing out as you're going around the next wrap, just take your craft knife or some type of, you know, object like that, and just very carefully, because you don't want to cut your finger or anything, and just kind of, you know, cut that away, and that works great. Now I'm talking about more than just like a couple of the glue, you know, spider webby things. I'm talking about like an actual glob of glue. So let me know below if you want to see an actual video on what I'm talking about. I don't think I'm articulating it very well, but I just thought of it because I did that on a couple of these bottles. So here's the F for the fall, and I just like how it turned out. I think it just looks really cute. Each one's the same, of course, but I'll show them up close to you. And yeah. And I like that I have some of the sanding on where there was no texture, because I like that distressed look. So that doesn't bother me at all. And then here is the last one. So everything on here, with the exception of the chipboard letters themselves and everything on the chipboard letters, everything else is from the Dollar Tree. The bottles, the jute, and the paint, excuse me, the paint I got from Walmart, the chalk paint. But the leaves, the burlap, and little bits of the burlap string here, which is just from me taking some of it off of the burlap ribbon. And I think it turned out pretty cute. So I hope you ladies enjoyed this video. Please comment below and let me know if you have any questions, or if I didn't explain something well enough, which is very possible since I have difficulty articulating sometimes because of my facial pain. And yeah, so this is a lot of fun, and I have a few more fall themed projects to get up on my YouTube channel. So I don't know the order this one will go up, but happy fall to everybody, and I'll see you in my next video. So happy crafting, happy planning, and happy scrapping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!